How's everybody doing today? Today we're just going to go over a short video which describes how to create tables in Word. If you're going to create a table, usually what I do is kind of scope out how many rows I want and how many columns I want. This is an example of a table you're going to have to do for homework in the Word section. So I take a look at it. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rows. I've got 2 columns. So I say, okay, that's what I want. I'm going to go into Word now, bring up my Word document. To insert a table in Word, it's real simple. I just click on Insert and then I go to Table. It lets me select as many rows as I want and as many columns as I want. So I'm going to select 2 columns. I'm going to select 5 rows. And I've got my table. I can change the width of any column just by clicking on this line and moving it back and forth. By default, it will give you equal width columns. A lot of times what happens is people want to merge one or more cells. In this one, I want to merge the top cell, the top row. Usually to select a whole row, I find it's easier just to move a little bit to the left of the table. And you notice my cursor changes. It changes to a different kind of arrow. I click and it selects the entire row. Now I'm going to right click on this and I'm going to say merge cells. And what that does is it gets rid of that line between these 2 columns here. The next thing I wanted to do is just talk about shading. Sometimes people would like this row shaded or possibly just a different color. So what you can do in that case, I'm going to select the whole row again and I'm going to right click on it. I'm going to go to Table Properties and I'm going to go down here to Borders and Shading. And I see here it says clear, which is the default. I'm going to say, well, I want to go with 10% shading. So I say OK. When I come off this, it's going to be lightly shaded. It'll kind of add emphasis to the row there. Another thing you can do, you can add rows or delete rows. Again, if I highlight this row, I can go to Insert here. I'm going to right click and go to Insert. I can do rows above, rows below. I could do columns to the left, columns to the right. So it's real easy. If you get in a table and you thought you needed 5 and then you decide, geez, I need 6, it's real easy to modify this thing. Once you get into the table and you type some text into it, pretty much all the other things that we're used to doing in Word you can do now in a table. Let's say, for example, I wanted all this information to be centered. Well, I highlight it, I click on my center icon. Let's say my top row, I want it to be in a larger font, so I'm going to make this size 20. Maybe I don't want this font. I'd like to go with Times New Roman. Maybe I want to take this text and make it a different color. So again, pretty much anything we've done in a regular just text we can do in the context of a table. Another thing you can do if you'd like is you can affect the line width on your grid lines here. Here I selected the entire table. I'm going to right click, I'm going to go to Table Properties, I'm going to go to Borders and Shading. I'm going to say All. I'm going to select All because I want it to affect all my lines. I'm going to say, you know what, I don't want this really thin line. I want to go with something a little bit thicker here and see what it looks like. I say OK, OK. And notice I come back, I have much more defined lines. So that's another option you have in tables. Anyhow, pretty easy to merge rows, add coloring, add shading, insert or delete rows. So they're pretty user-friendly when it comes to creating tables. Hope this video was helpful. We'll see you next time.